Some of the greatest discoveries in history, they happened because someone decided to look where nobody else would even think to. But what do you do when the very thing you're looking for is buried under just an avalanche of complexity? Well, today we're going to break down the work of a scientist who's building the tools to find those needles in, well, cosmic haystacks. And this quote right here from Stanford immunologist Dr. Garry Nolan, it's really the key to everything we're talking about. See, most of science is all about confirming what we already think we know. But Nolan, he believes the real breakthroughs are hiding in the weird stuff, the anomalies, the outliers, the data points that make you scratch your head and say, that doesn't fit. That's where the real story is. And really, that's the grand challenge, isn't it? Whether we're talking about the microscopic war happening inside our own bodies or weird things zipping around in the sky, the answers we're looking for are buried under a literal mountain of data. So to find them, you don't just need a better map. You need a totally new kind of map maker. Okay, so let's start with Dr. Nolan's day job, as he puts it. His main focus is tackling one of the most ridiculously complex puzzles in all of medicine: cancer. And to really get what he's doing, we first have to understand the incredibly devious strategy cancer uses just to stay alive. He calls it a dance. And it's the perfect word for it, because this isn't just a straightforward fight. A tumor is smart. It evolves. It learns how to trick your body's own defense system. And get this, it doesn't just want to be ignored. Oh no, it actively recruits your immune system, turning it into an unwilling partner, basically convincing it to build a cozy little home that helps the cancer grow and spread. So here's how this whole devious process actually plays out. First, a cell mutates and starts dividing like crazy. Simple enough. But then the cancer cell learns this absolutely crucial trick. It figures out how to turn off the very signals that are supposed to wave a red flag and tell the body, hey, I'm damaged over here, get rid of me. And for the final act, it completely takes over the immune system, turning it from your bodyguard into its personal promoter. All right, so you've got this incredibly complicated dance happening between hundreds of different kinds of cells. How in the world do you even begin to see what's really going on? Well, this is where it gets interesting. Nolan's lab didn't just sit around and study the problem. Nope, they went out and built a radically better way to see it. And this just shows you the sheer scale of the innovation we're talking about. For decades, right, scientists could only look at maybe 3 proteins on a single cell at one time. 3. That's like trying to understand all of New York City by peeking through a keyhole. But then Nolan's team develops this technology that lets them see over 60 proteins at once. Suddenly, it's not a keyhole anymore. It's like having a full-blown panoramic view of the entire battlefield. And this is the crazy part, this massive breakthrough created its own equally massive problem. Nolan's lab was suddenly swimming in what he called a data deluge. Their new tools were working too well. They were pumping out so much information that no single human, not even a whole team of brilliant researchers, could ever hope to process it all. So, how do you solve a problem that your own success created? Well, for Nolan, this led to what he calls his eureka moment, turning to artificial intelligence. And he wasn't just looking for a fancy calculator to crunch numbers. He wanted a true scientific partner. I mean, just try to wrap your head around that. You've got data on millions upon millions of cells, and every single one of them has dozens of different data points. And somewhere in all that noise, there might be one hidden pattern that could lead to a cure. Seriously, where would you even start? Okay, so this is what they came up with. And it's not just some program, it's basically an AI scientist in a box. This thing can analyze, get this, 22 million research papers. It can take the raw data straight from an experiment and spit out totally new ideas, new hypotheses about what's going on. And then, as if that's not enough, it actually suggests the next experiments the human scientists should run to test its theories. It's incredible. And if you want to know what kind of impact this has, just look at this. A task, generating a really complex biological hypothesis that would normally take a team of grad students and postdocs months of grinding, painstaking work. The AI does it in about 3 hours. 3. That's not just a little faster. That's a complete game changer for the speed of science itself. All right, so you've built this incredibly powerful toolkit. You can find the tiniest signal in the loudest noise. What do you do with it? Well, you point it at the biggest, weirdest, most challenging mysteries out there, the stuff that lives way out on the scientific fringe. Nolan's journey into all this fringe stuff wasn't really planned. It all started back in 2011 when he used his tech to analyze that thing called the Atacama mummy. He proved it was actually a human fetus with some really rare genetic mutations. That work proved he was a serious, no-nonsense scientist, and it got the attention of people at the CIA. They came to him for help with those mysterious Havana syndrome cases. And it was through that work that he ended up getting pulled into the whole puzzle of UAPs, unidentified anomalous phenomena, what, most of us just call UFOs. So, applying that exact same rigorous scientific approach, Nolan started analyzing alleged materials from a UAP event. He looked at this one sample of magnesium from Brazil. Now, here's a quick science lesson. Magnesium, like a lot of elements, has different versions of itself, called isotopes. They're just slightly different weights. And the key thing is, the ratio of these isotopes is incredibly, incredibly consistent, not just on Earth, but everywhere in our solar system. But in this one sample, the ratios were just wrong. Completely off. They didn't match anything known to science. So his team ran the numbers. They asked, okay, what would it take to create these bizarre ratios from normal magnesium? And the answer they got back was just staggering. You would have to hit it with the neutron energy of an atomic bomb every few seconds for 900 years, straight. Now, let's be clear, this isn't proof of aliens, but it is proof of a process or a technology that is profoundly strange. It is the definition of data off the curve. And this brings us right back to that core philosophy we started with. This has nothing to do with belief. It's about following the data, wherever it leads, no matter how weird it gets. The goal of science isn't to be right all the time. It's about being, as he says, righter tomorrow, always improving by actually paying attention to the weird stuff that challenges everything we thought we knew. So, from the war inside ourselves to the biggest mysteries in our skies, the path forward is always going to be lit by the people who are willing to investigate the outliers. Dr. Nolan built the tools to see those outliers more clearly than anyone ever has before. And it leaves you wondering, right? What other incredible secrets are just sitting there, hiding in the data, waiting for the next person brave enough to look?